Bobby Roode stays glorious, DIY and the Revival add another classic match to their resume, and is Samoa Joe really spending more time in NXT? Let's break it down on the Pulp Report. Just from his entrance alone, Bobby Roode proved that he is main roster ready, and he's not only main roster ready, he is ready for main events and to be in the world title picture. You can say that about a couple guys, actually a few guys on this show tonight. He comes out, a choir singing his glorious theme as the crowd sings along, sold out crowd in Toronto, and his opponent is fellow Canadian Ty Dillinger. I like how during the ring introductions, Bobby Roode was not announced as from Canada, but Ty Dillinger was, trying to play off or get Dillinger the babyface heat, but to no avail. The crowd was into both of these guys. If there was any complaint from the tradition side that Bobby Roode doesn't get much heat, he's very popular, and I think that's what separates him from Samoa Joe, but we'll get to that later. Solid match between these guys. Two veterans working, opening the show, started off hot, getting the crowd really amped into it, and then it cooled down a little bit, and Bobby Roode doesn't do anything crazy, and it works for him. He's just a very solid worker, and he gets the win over the Perfect 10 to start the show. I was happy he got the win. I don't know how long he's going to be in NXT, but it seems like at least a little bit longer, so I think you got to start pushing him towards the NXT title, although now it's held by a heel, so we'll see. We'll get to that. Then we had the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering suspended in a cage above the ring took on TM61. Authors of Pain get the win here. There's some crazy spots to open the match, including a dive off the structure that held the cage above the ring. I think this was a good decision to have the Authors of Pain win this one. I think WWE is actually booking monsters as monsters now. You look at the main roster, Braun Strowman's catching on now. Nia Jax is doing the same thing with the women's division. And I like it. It's logical. It's very simple. And the Authors of Pain look pretty unstoppable right now. I like the vibe they got going on with the all black, and Paul Ellering just looks menacing all the time. As you can see, he tried to help him out in the match. He tossed down a chain into the ring, which kind of led to the finish. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a good spot for the Authors of Pain to be in. Definitely both these teams are going to spend some more time in NXT, which is good. And I think TM61 is going to benefit the most from it because they still are developing their characters. Right now we just know they're two Australian guys. They're very good in the ring, obviously, and they got good looks. It's just they need some more character to push them to the next level. That led us to the match of the night, in my opinion. Team DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, beat the reigning champions Dash and Dawson in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Every match these teams have is off the charts. This was no different. The psychology is nobody's touching their in-ring psychology. That ending with Dash and Dawson both grabbing each other, telling each other not to tap, that was excellent. These teams work so well together. And Dash and Dawson should be the tag team champions on either Raw or SmackDown right now. I mean, there's no excuse why not. They are a great heel team. And you look at the tag teams involved in the Survivor Series elimination match, as far as I see it, way below the level of Dash and Dawson. So yeah, I mean, unbelievable, the spot where Dawson hits Gargano in his leg with the title belt, and that it's not just done just for that reason. They actually continue to work on the legs the whole match. It's just great storytelling, and it's not a surprise from these teams. They do it all the time. They're proving themselves every single time, especially on these big takeover matches. The Revival have stolen, I think, the last 3 takeovers that they've been involved in. They consistently have the best match on the card, I believe. Yeah, not much to say. Just old school, just great work. That leads us to the return of Mickie James after a 6-year hiatus. she comes back to take on a Japanese superstar and NXT Women's Champion Asuka. Good back and forth match. I thought Mickie James looked very good for not competing on this level for a long time. Asuka has great facial expression. She knows how to sell that she is the baddest MF in the women's division. She could come up, but you know what? I think there's people more ready to come up on that NXT roster. I mean, it's filled with people who are ready to come up, so it's not even an insult that I'm trying to relay, but it's who's next for Asuka is a very good question. They always have talented women down there, so I'm not too worried about that. Asuka wins by submission, the Asuka lock. I like how Mickie James tapped pretty quickly. I think that's missing in a lot of the submissions that WWE does. You know, they do the long drag out. You know, can he get to the ropes? Can he not? But in reality, if someone locks on a submission hold, you know, like the Asuka lock, it would be a very quick tap, even from the toughest people in the world. So I'd like to see more of that in WWE and in wrestling in general. That led us to the main event. Samoa Joe regains his NXT Championship by defeating Shinsuke Nakamura. You know, a little bit of heel tactics used at the end of the match. I don't know what to think of this. You know, they have had NXT champions go up to the main roster. You know, Kevin Owens had it when he first went up and challenged Cena. Samoa Joe should be main eventing major pay-per-views for WWE. You can say that of both these guys, but I think Samoa Joe's more. He's got the promos. He is just a straight up badass, and that's something they lack right now on the main roster. Besides Brock Lesnar, on top of that, he's one of the best wrestlers on the roster. So Samoa Joe, I just hope to see him in the next couple months on WWE TV. He should have been there since day one. This Nakamura program has gone on. It's been a good program, of course. William Regal, I mean, come on, one of the best GMs in WWE history. You know, Joe gets the win, so I don't know. Time will tell where he's going. Maybe is it possible that Shinsuke comes up? I'm not sure. I have a feeling that neither of these two are coming up after things went on tonight. I feel Nakamura is going to have to get his rematch. So we'll see. Overall, another very strong show from NXT. I wouldn't say it's their strongest of the takeovers, but just a really strong wrestling show that, you know, it's no surprise. They do it every time they have a big show. They pull out all the stops. I think, you know, half this card could be main roster level, so with Survivor Series coming up, maybe we see some of these guys on the roster. But as far as the NXT show, solid again. Got some new champions. We'll see where they take it on NXT TV. It's, you know, so much content with WWE nowadays that it is kind of hard to find time for NXT. So when they have these takeover specials, I think it's important for the talent to really step it up, which they always do. So again, nothing more to say about this. Let me know what you think down below. Did it exceed your expectations, or was it below your expectations, or was it just a solid NXT show? Until then, thanks guys, thanks for checking it out, and I'm Justin. Deuces.